Today I'm going to talk about.
Put it over your head.
Title of my thing is saving money with the ROKU and other stuff too. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what I do at my house. Mainly what I have. I don't want to pay cable because it's just too much. I've talked to friends of mine who are paying $120 a month for just the TV portion of their cable bill, or another one is $150. Typically, though, I talk to people that are paying $70 or $80 a month for cable TV. No one in here has cable TV. You three don't have cable TV. You do. You know how much you pay?
About 60 something.
Okay. Anyway,
I'm moving to Kansas City.
When I'm at my house, I have a PC that has wireless, and I have a tuner USB device on my PC, and with that I have an antenna hooked to that. Okay. Now, what that enables me to do is have an experience very much like TiVo. Are you familiar with TiVo? Where basically on the PC you can set it up to record shows whenever they're on. So if you like the show Supernatural or something like that, you can just type into the title search Supernatural, and from then on the thing is going to record Supernatural whenever it's on, whatever channel it's on. The only thing I don't like about Windows Media Center that does that on the PC is that it doesn't seem to discriminate between new shows and old shows. So if there's a show that's being made and also in syndication at the same time, it's really, you have to sort through a bunch of videos to find the newest episode. So I like the show Community, and it records it off the air, and unfortunately it also records past years of it off the air at the same time. The networks I get through my antenna include ABC, CBS, NBC, CW, all the PBS channels. There's like 3 different PBS channels, and also there's a country music channel that shows videos, and there's a weather channel that just shows kind of a very simple weather map kind of thing. And to go along with that was about $79 per tuner. I actually have 2 tuners plugged into the back of my computer so that I can record 2 different shows at the same time. So there's very rarely a conflict between 3 shows that are on the same time. And I don't watch them all, but it's nice to have them available if I feel like watching something. This is through everybody. Also an antenna. This looks like a dish, but it's really not a parabolic antenna. It's just an antenna built into a dish shape. And it is directional. And I have it pointed towards basically west by northwest of Topeka, and that's where the local TV stations are. A friend of mine about half a mile away from me points his towards Kansas City, and he can get 38 channels. Okay, I only get 12. I happen to be, we have the same antenna, but I'm in a little bit of a valley, and I just can't get the Kansas City stations like you can.
What if you build a tower?
I could do it then, but I'm not ready for that investment.
Need a permit for that.
We're trying to save money here. And then the other expense that I have is that I bought a ROKU box. Okay, and I have one up here. This is the Model 2 ROKU over here, but they're up to the Model 3 now. And each time here's the box for it if anyone wants to see it. Jewel actually supplied this. The deluxe version, which I believe is the one pictured here, is $100. Is that right? And it's really cool because it has a headphone jack built into the remote control, so that your headphones or wherever you walk doesn't cost any more to have that headphone jack. And so while you're using the ROKU to watch your programs, You can walk around the house and listen to it, or
I didn't notice that.
let's say you have a child that's watching something and you don't want to hear, you know, My Little Pony or something like that. That's a handy thing to have. And also the deluxe model, and this is the ROKU 2 Deluxe, so it doesn't have the headphone jack. It has, it also has a motion sensor in it, so that you can put games on your Roku and play like Angry Birds on your TV, and you know, use this as a game control. And there's a lot of fun games, but I'm not really into them very much. And here's a price comparison with going without cable and going with cable. I get all three of these: Amazon Prime, Hulu Plus, and Netflix. So I'm spending, you know, $23 a month on that. And then I get Amazon Instant Video, where you pay per view of movies. And so as soon as a movie goes out on DVD, it's available on Amazon Instant Video. So yeah, I don't go to the Red Box, I don't buy DVDs, I just watch them on Amazon Instant Video. And typically they're about $5 if you want to watch them in high def, $3.99 if you want to watch them in standard definition. Yeah, we watch those sometimes. Sometimes they cost a little bit more for the first week or two they're out. So I'm spending about $38 a month on my services after my initial payment. And I figured, like I said, I figured a cable user is probably spending $150. Now, what I don't get, or what I get first, I guess is how I put it, thousands of old movies and TV shows, all three of those movie networks, and by old I mean like 3 years old or older, you know. The B movies are newer. The really good movies, you might have to wait a while for them to get onto the cheap services. With the antenna, I get current local TV, local news, of course, with the antenna. With the Roku, I get international news 24 hours a day. And I'll show you those in a minute. And then I get thousands of different news stations available on the Roku all over the world, videos that they have on their websites. So maybe it's asynchronous, where you don't get to watch it live when Channel 5 is broadcasting this thing that happened in Kansas City, but you can watch it a couple hours later when it goes on their website. And then also many other weird or specialized video sites. Now, what I don't get is generally sports, and I'm not a sports fan, and I also don't get new shows from HBO and Showtime. HBO and Showtime have a tendency to embargo their shows and just not let them out onto the internet. Okay. Now, a recent news article from just last week says that ESPN is coming out with an app for the Roku. So if you are a sports nut, you'll be able to have access to ESPN, but I have no idea how much it's going to cost. I expect it's going to be expensive. Okay.
Glenn, the other thing I heard was that HBO supposedly is looking into bundling just HBO with providing internet service, so you could just watch HBO over and then spend like $20 a month or something for internet service. But I don't know where that's going. It's just I was just sort of a news exploratory.
I hadn't heard about that. One thing about HBO I had heard was that, and they currently do this. They have what do they call it, HBO U or something?
HBO Go.
HBO Go. You can get HBO shows over the internet if you have HBO through a cable provider right now, but you're not saving any money that way, you know. But I guess there's news that they're going to come out with a purely internet version of it for a fee. Now, when you're paying for cable and you're getting ESPN, I've heard that 25% of your cable bill is going straight to ESPN. Okay, so I mean it's a huge portion of your cable bill. So for people like me that don't like sports, it's a bad deal, you know.
Glenn, on those other services, those $7 a month services, is there do you have to sign up for a year, or can you just go month by month?
You can go month by month, except for Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, you pay it for a year for $80, but Amazon Prime is a really good deal because actually Amazon Prime is primarily, oops.
You could buy stuff as well.
Amazon Prime is primarily people get it to get cheaper shipping on stuff. Okay, so if you buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, and I do, you know, I don't like to. I live east of Topeka, and all the shopping in Topeka is in west Topeka. So for me, I order stuff on the internet all the time. I go to Amazon, and half the stuff I can get is Prime. Prime gives you free shipping for many items.
Free 2-day shipping.
Free 2-day
2 days.
shipping.
And Amazon
And it
is
has to be
partnering with
from
the Postal Service
Amazon.
for Sunday deliveries now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amazon Prime's an awesome deal. It's if you buy a lot of stuff over the internet, it's worth having just for buying stuff.
Or if you've forgotten a birthday,
Yeah. Oh, and you also subscribe to it, don't you? Where you have on Amazon Prime, or maybe just Amazon, I don't know. You can actually set up things where you regularly get detergent every month. You know.
and you can save a little bit more by having it regularly delivered, but you don't have to accept it. You can go in and say you didn't do as much laundry that week. You can go in and delay the delivery another week or something like that.
And a whole variety of household things like that. Yeah. I don't know if you can get like toilet paper with it or stuff. Yeah, you can get a subscription to Amazon and get all kinds of stuff, and then get free videos with it. Okay.
This message brought to you by Amazon.com.
You're using the wrong clicker.
I'm using the wrong clicker. Oh, that's fine. Okay. All right. On ROKU, basically, it accesses all these different services. What I have currently up right now is ones that I wanted to be on my front page, or what you see here. This one right here is called Nowhere Man, and that's one of the most interesting ones to me. Okay. Anyway, the most popular ones are these ones on the top line, and I use them a lot, but you know, Netflix, you probably know about already. You can watch all kinds of movies and old TV shows mainly. Pandora is for listening to music. Talked about Amazon. Crackle has free movies on TV with no subscription, but you have to watch commercials with them. And they're not the top movies. Let's
They're not
see.
real family friendly, typically.
Okay.
Majority are scary
A
or.
lot of scary movies and stuff. Anyway, they have like a couple hundred movies on Crackle, and they rotate through different movies at different times. And then Vivo for watching music video. I already talked about Hulu Plus a little bit. That's primarily TV shows, and it's a lot better than you'd think. Like I watched Supernatural, and the other day it was on at 9 o'clock, and I wanted to watch it, but I got delayed by some family thing, you know, and so I went down to the basement at about 9:15, and I was kind of bummed out that I wasn't going to be able to watch the beginning of the show. I went over to Hulu Plus, and they had already loaded it on Hulu Plus, so I was able to watch the show from the beginning at 9:15 that it had started at 9. Flicksters for watching trailers for movies. Daily Motion and Metatube are like YouTube. And then the main thing I like about this though is watching news. And so I have this thing called Nowhere TV. And a funny thing about Roku is that individuals can create their own channels and then create a code for it and put it out on the web, and people can load channels that Roku has nothing to do with. So Roku, I guess, gets around being in trouble for copyright violation or something, or I don't know exactly what all the reasons are for it, but you can get lots of stuff. And so, like, my favorites here are all these news channels, and let's go ahead and look at one real quick. They're not necessarily the highest resolution,
to cherish them.
but this is
We
Al
help
Jazeera.
building skills.
Al Jazeera is a very good news channel from, I think it's from Oman. BBC, this is actually not BBC International, although they used to have it on here. It's now just BBC from England. So if you want to watch the English news, you can do that. And they have lots of international news on their national news program. China Central Television, a propaganda show from China. CNBC Europe, that's business. CNN International. Yeah, all this is free and on your TV. Yeah.
Because she will be spending almost a year there.
And some specialty news stations. I haven't looked at these yet, but these are like Jewish Life TV and Jewish News 1. I was thinking of watching those. NHK World, Japan puts out a CNN-like news show that's in English. This one is really fun to watch. This is the Iranian propaganda news channel. And it's really glossy and beautiful, like CNN or whatever, but it's from Iran. Russia has a propaganda channel that's fun to watch.
On these foreign language, do they
No,
have
these are
subtitles?
English.
Oh, they're in English, okay.
Yeah, like this is, I mean, this is Russia's version of Radio America, you know? They want us to know their point of view. Anyway, yeah, RT, great channel, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. It's a propaganda channel. Okay, that's
Some would say all channels are propaganda
well,
channels.
that's true. Oops. Oh, another thing that I really like about this is
How do you find these, Glenn? Do you go on the web to find them? Or
oh,
do you,
that's a good point. Most of the channels for the ROKU are loaded from this function called the channel store. And you go there and they list all the channels they have except for the private channels. And then the private channels, you have to go basically on the internet and just Google private channels, and then you can load them in. And a lot of these channels that they have extra fees involved, like Netflix did, for instance, where you're paying $8 a month. So there's a lot of stuff on here that you can pay for that I'm not paying for. My wife is from the Philippines, and if we wanted to, we could go to Dish World and pay another $10 a month and watch Filipino news and programs, you know, their comedy shows and stuff. She doesn't like Filipino comedy shows, so we don't have to pay for that. But I know a lot of families that do watch those.
do you get bills, say you have 4 or 5 different services, do you get bills from those individual companies, or are they consolidated into
I
one?
get bills from those individual companies, and then some of these you actually pay for it directly. That you're not paying for a service, you're just paying to load the service onto it, and those you would pay directly to Roku. Let's see what it says about sports and see if that ESPN thing is on there yet. It looks like there's something from ESPN on here. Most of these sports channels are not really showing the events, though. They're mainly showing like commentary on events. Another thing that's a really cool thing about the ROKU is that it has a unified search engine where if you go to ROKU search and then type in,
007.
okay, let's try that. Is there a show with that in the, okay, there's a movie called Everything or Nothing, The Untold Story of 007, okay? If you go over there to see where that is, it'll tell you that Netflix, Amazon, and Redbox, all 3 of those have it, Redbox Instant. So I know that, and it also gives the prices to a certain degree. Netflix, I have a subscription, I get everything on for free. Amazon, they want you to pay $14.99 to get it. Redbox is free if you have a subscription. So any of the movies that are in any of those services, you know, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, Redbox, probably some of the others, are all in the Roku searches index, and you can find any odd movie. I mean, it's really amazing. So if you're a fan of old movies and want to go through the best 100 movies of all time, you could probably find every one of them here with no problem, and not pay a lot to watch them. I guess that's all I'm going to have for my stuff. But if anyone has any questions, let me know. Also, the setup is kind of complicated. I was thinking of drawing it on the board where I'd have all my wires go and everything, but that's probably more than you want to see. Oh, one more thing. An important thing I was going to show you. The Plex. I have those programs recording onto my computer. And so I have a channel called Plex that's for the purpose of getting those shows off my computer so I can watch them on my TV.
And Plex is free.
And Plex is free, yeah. And I've created 2 folders on that, well, 1 folder on the computer, but I actually have Plex creating 2 sections, 2 library sections based on that folder. And one of them is called Home Movies, and what it does with Home Movies is it just gives you the movie, okay? And the movies could be in any format on your computer, virtually, any format that your computer can play, it can be on your computer in that format. And then the computer transcodes it into a format that's friendly to the Roku and sends it to the Roku for you to watch it. So if I were to look at this folder, I stuck a couple of videos from my law practice technology class in here. One of them was sanction annotations, and the other one says sanction shows, docs, and video. Okay, and what's kind of interesting is that I can watch these, and that's all the information it gives me about it. And I can resume it from where I last watched it. Okay, so this is a video that I have on the computer. Now that video can come from any source that you can get there. It can come from your antenna. It can come from a file that you place on the computer that you got off the internet, legally, of course. And then the other folder is Home Movies. And what's interesting about Home Movies, movies, is that Plex has all these databases that they compare the data from your show with to find what it probably is, and then try to provide you with a Netflix-like interface about that movie. So those 2 movies were movies that I actually made about the sanction video. And so this other library section is looking at the same thing, but it's giving us data. And this is what I don't like about this library section, is that one of my videos about sanction, it decided was the movie called The Act of Killing. And all the information it will give me is based on that data that got off the internet. So it made a mistake and thinks that my sanction video is called The Act of Killing, right? And I don't really understand how it does that exactly, but if you go ahead and click on one of those that it's identified, it gives you all the information about that movie. So let's say that I'd found some old movie like Metropolis from 1919 and stuck it on here. It would have correctly, said who was in it, who directed it, and what it's about, and all this stuff. But if it has the wrong name, it might come up with something bizarre. And one thing I was running into this all the time was that for some reason, when I take a TV show and put it into this, it looks at the name of the episode instead of the name of the TV show, and then does this search for it and comes up with some random movie. And so my movies from my antenna, I was sticking in this folder that said that has this kind of information. I would never know what was what. But then I eventually figured out what was going on, and TV shows and stuff I just put into my home movie section, and then if I were to have some identifiable movie, I would stick it into the movie section. And then basically just watch it from your TV, you know?
If you pay for a Plex account, then you would be able to stream over the internet, is that
Right.
correct?
Also, yeah, if you pay for a Plex account, what'll happen is that I could actually put Plex on my cell phone, for instance, or on my tablet or on my work computer, and have all the movies reside on my PC at home, and then be able to watch it, you know, from my pocket if I wanted to, you know. So Plex is pretty awesome. Okay. Now I used to have something called a WD instead of a Roku. Just last year, I actually still have the devices, but I hardly use them. The WD, the main thing with it was that it could watch movies that are on your home computer. Then I stopped using it because Roku can do everything now. So now that they have Plex.
So Glenn, just to make sure we all understand, you've got Plex installed on your computer, and you've got all of your content, your videos, movies, TV shows, stored on the computer.
Right.
And then over your home network, it
Right.
communicates with the Roku, and then you can watch it on the TV.
Yeah, through my home network. If I had a paid Plex account, it would go through my network out onto the internet and then to wherever my device is.
How hard is it to install? Is it pretty,
The Roku,
instructions?
the Roku itself is like child's play.
I can do it.
The Plex, for some reason, sometimes it takes repeated effort, you know, not knowing why it's not working, and then you can get it to work, and it works forevermore, you know. But today, well, at home, I never had a problem with Plex, and then I tried to use Plex from that computer to that Roku, and Jewel and I spent probably half an hour figuring out how to do it. So the Plex part's a little bit more difficult, but the Roku, there's nothing to it. You just need, one thing about the Roku, it does have it has a HDMI output, and so you need some way of getting that to your TV, you know,
It doesn't come with the cable.
and it doesn't come with the cable. And so,
If you buy them online, they come, I mean, you can get the, I mean, it's easy to get the cables.
anyway, if you have an old TV that doesn't have HDMI, then you need to get some kind of converter also, okay? I know a lot of people that are in that situation. My TVs are all new enough that they don't need that.
So do you guys tend to watch everything on your computers, or are you already putting it up on your TVs?
Already on my TV.
Yeah.
I have an Apple TV, which I was looking at it and the Roku box. The biggest difference was AirPlay.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every station I have an app that I can stream to it, and then with my Xbox, for the rest of it. So.
I think Roku is eventually going to come up with something kind of like AirPlay, but I had heard something about that, but I haven't actually seen anything tangible.
I was gonna say, I think that they've tried, and so the hard part with AirPlay is just your network capability. So
This, you know, this Plex is very similar in many ways to AirPlay,
yeah.
but it's not as easy to use, at least initially.
How important is that TV viewing experience versus watching it on a device much closer to you?
Pretty important. I don't like looking at my computer screen. Like, I don't like laptops in general.
Okay.
At work, that my work computer is a laptop, but I have a desktop set up for it because I'm not a.
The keyboard and everything
is.
is.
Yeah.
Joel is
So
going to
I like away
talk
from me.
a little bit about Chrome, which can do some things like AirPlay, but
Yeah, you were here for the Chromecast
Yeah.
demo, and we had, for our last tech exchange, we
demoed it and have a video on our blog, but the Chromecast, have you heard of the Chromecast at least, or you shown? It's just a device that plugs into the back of your TV, and then and the setup is literally really easy. 3 steps. Plug in, go to this website, and connect it to your wireless network. And then using Chrome on your laptop, you can broadcast anything to the TV. I use this. I own one of these, and I use it a lot. I have the Roku too, and I've been finding I switch back and forth. What's really kind of neat about this device is on a lot of TVs, it'll automatically switch the input automatically to it, so I don't have to worry about grabbing the remote to switch the input. But pretty much anything that I can watch on my laptop, I can watch on my TV with this device.
The only thing that you can't really do with the Chromecast, though, is like if you're editing a Word document or something like that, you can't.
You can share your desktop with it as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, it has an option that you can actually cast your entire desktop. So if you wanted to give a presentation or use your TV as a second monitor or as a monitor, you can do that as well. And this is $35.